I am Samir Kumar from Shop Architects. I am the Director of Enclosure Design here, and I am mostly involved with all the projects, helping, guiding the teams to, from concept to completion, guiding them through the process of building successful facades on buildings. The building skin is quite central to the perception of architecture. It is not only the primary communication device to convey the central themes of architecture, especially in a high density context where the form of the building is often driven by regulatory zoning constraints. The skin takes on added meaning, and it starts becoming the project's response to the city. It starts communicating to the city, and it starts becoming an enabler of positivity of the streetscape. So we take our facades very seriously because we believe that they play an urban role, and we always strive to make a positive contribution to the urban experience through the exterior of our buildings. Way more people perceive the facade of a building than simply the occupants of the building. And so you are actually affecting many more experiences through the exterior of the building than you are simply through the design of the building itself. That any facade continue to engage people, continue to enrich their street experience through playing with light and shadow, through playing with color, through playing with generally interesting compositions, etc., is a real criteria for design for us. It is inherent in how we perceive the role of a building within the urban context. To go farther than what is the most obvious response to a problem, we constantly try to find this balance between what the industry is striving towards versus what we as designers strive towards, right? There has to be a balance between this. We are constantly exploring new expressions to our projects while closely understanding how the industry would respond to it. It is very important for us that our industry partners are as successful at this project as we want to be, because our success is closely tied with their success. So what we have done on this project, and what we try to do on many projects, is we take some things as given. So for example, the way we developed this particular building's expression, we did not disturb the basic rules of a unitized system, which the industry is very familiar with, and where the biggest performance and risk are related. But we changed a few things about it, which would make a industry designer, when they come in, to think a little bit about how they would do it. And I think the two things that are specific about this project, one of them is the fanning facade, right? The change of plane. And the other is a three-dimensional formed panel, right? These two things together do a lot to enhance the reading of this particular form and its surface. But all of that has been solved through sort of the basic tenets of unitized system. So AZA-INT had the right response. When they came in, they understood the room that they had to express their creativity, and they understood what was needed to fulfill our goals. And that is why I think the project has been a collective success for ourselves as well as for them. There were a few things that we knew were straightforward about the way our facades were going to be working, or how the facades were designed to work. And there were a few things that could have gone in different ways. So the fanning structure, the change of plane, how you resolve the sill, for example, every construction team would have a slightly different take on it. And similarly, the bent panel was not a straightforward bent at all. It was actually a very complex bend to a sheet metal. In both cases, AZA worked with us to evolve the right solution which addressed their perception of what would be reasonable and what would give us high performance versus what we were expecting as the architectural expression. So there was this harmony that was found between their wealth of knowledge and expertise, both in terms of design engineering as well as fabrication installation, and our the history of working with this particular problem and trying to find exactly the right solution for it. The Essex Crossing project was an interesting project because it is, it belongs to a site where Shop were the master planners, and it was going to be the first project on that site which we designed, along with the museum project next to it. I think from the point that AZA-INT came on board, we also had an executive architect who we were working with, but their general work ethic in taking on the design and not trying to dilute it in order to find successful solutions was greatly appreciated by us. Their desire to jump into the more difficult parts early on and identify them as being critical to the success of design and addressing them harmoniously with us were all very positive, foundational things that happened, which I think contribute to the success of the project. We have had a good collaboration with AZA-INT on the Essex Crossing project, and we look forward to furthering that on future projects. And the reason why we look forward to continuing to work with AZA is because the general culture that AZA brings with it, aiming for excellence in their own field while helping us achieve what we are trying to achieve. So they are hand in hand with us in pursuing excellence. We never felt that AZA was trying to do anything less than what was ideal for a project, and that was greatly appreciated. And we like to work with people who align with our general attitude towards pursuing excellence in some ways, and I think AZA is a good partner in that. AZA-INT's presence in the New York market with the projects that they have under their belt as completed, as well as projects they're working on right now, are all testimonials to their strength of their organization, strength of their capabilities, etc. And we are fortunate to have had an opportunity to work with them early on, specifically for the reasons that you pointed out about how varied and diverse the demands of the context are on the building enclosures. The process of design, engineering, approvals, fabrication, installation, it is an extremely complex and fraught process which needs to be carefully managed on all sides, especially on the subcontractor side, which is where AZA-INT usually occupy the table. And to get a project like this completed, where multiple stakeholders are all satisfied in their own way, because everyone is seeking something different from it, I think all of that is in itself a testimonial to AZA-INT's ability to deliver complex projects. And I think that any company that builds in New York and survives it and goes on to build more buildings is doing the right things. So to some extent, I think the proof is in the pudding, so as to say, I think they're doing it.